Great. So welcome everyone to our Astronomy at Home story time from the Astronomical Society of the Pacific. Like I said earlier, my name is Anna, and I'm joining you from my living room at home in San Francisco, California. Today we are going to read Moonbear Shadow by Frank Asch. And this is one of my favorite books. So this is a book about shadows and the sun. And so while I'm reading the book, I want you to help me in the pictures look for the sun and also for our main character, Bear, and for Bear's shadow, because this is a book all about Moonbear shadow. Okay, and you can stay muted, but you can talk to your grown-ups or friends who are there with you, and you can point on your screen, and I'll be pointing also. So let's get started reading. And I'm going to have the pages of the book up on the screen so it's easier for you to see than this book here. Here we go. One day, Bear went down to the pond with his fishing pole and a big can of worms. While he was putting a worm on his hook, he looked down and saw a big fish. I'm going to catch that fish, Bear thought to himself. There it is. Oh, and here's a good one. So let's look. Can you find the sun? There's the sun. And there's Bear. And there's Bear's shadow. And there's the fish. But when Bear stood up to throw his line in the water, his shadow scared the big fish away. Go away, shadow, cried Bear. But Bear's shadow would not go away. There it is again. There's the sun, and there's Bear, and there's Bear's shadow. Looks like Bear's trying to run away. Okay, said Bear, if you won't go on your own, then I'll just have to get rid of you. And he put down his fishing pole and began to run. He ran around the pond. When he got to the other side, he kept running. Sun, Bear, Bear's shadow. He ran through a field of flowers, jumped over the brook, and hid behind a tree. Good, said Bear. Now Shadow won't find me. I don't see Bear's shadow. Where is it? But Bear was wrong. When he stepped out from behind the tree, the first thing he saw was Shadow. That pesky Shadow. Nearby was a cliff. Bear walked over to the cliff and looked up. I'll climb so high, Shadow won't be able to follow me, thought Bear. Bear climbed higher and higher until at last he pulled himself to the top. Huffing and puffing, he smiled with pride. But then he looked down and he saw Shadow. Now Bear was very annoyed. So he went home and got a hammer and some nails to nail his shadow to the ground. You think that's gonna work? Can you nail a shadow to the ground? Bear thinks you can. He's really frustrated. Let's see. He hammered and hammered and hammered, but no matter how many nails he hammered, he couldn't nail his shadow down. Is that how shadows work? If I can't nail him down, thought Bear, maybe I can bury him. So he got his shovel and dug a hole. When the hole was deep and wide, he let his shadow fall in the hole. Oh, look at that big hole that he dug, and there is his shadow. Then Bear filled the hole with dirt. When he was finished, it was almost noon. The sun was high in the sky, and Shadow was nowhere to be seen. At last, sighed Bear, no more shadow. So let's see. Here's the sun, and here's Bear. But where's Bear's shadow? Where'd it go? What do you think? But now Bear was very tired. Oh, he's yawning. Maybe we could all yawn and give a stretch. So he went inside and took a little nap. Sweet dreams, Bear. While he slept, time passed, and the sun once again cast shadows everywhere. Oh, let's look at what's going on in these pictures. So there's his shovel he left standing in the ground, and this one, I don't really see a shadow, but look what's happening to the sun. It's getting a little bit lower in the sky, and it's moving across the sky. And what's happening to the shadows? There's the shadow. There's the shadow. What do you notice? And now Bear woke up and opened his door. And who was back? His shadow. See, there's the sun shining in the door, and there's Bear, and there's Bear's shadow. He thought he got rid of him, but nope. Not you again, exclaimed Bear, and he slammed the door, hoping to lock Shadow inside. But Shadow was too quick. Sighed Bear. Well, how about this? If you let me catch a fish, I'll let you catch one too. Nod your head like this, if it's a deal. Wanna try nodding your head like Bear? When Bear nodded his head, what did his shadow do? His shadow nodded his head too. Yeah. So Bear went back to the pond and once again threw his line in the water. By this time, the sun was in a different part of the sky, which made it easy for Shadow to keep his part of the deal. Is his shadow gonna scare the fish this time? There's the sun, and there's Bear, and there's Bear's shadow. And I assume the fish is gonna be over here in the pond. And when Bear caught that big fish, Shadow caught one too. So there's Bear and his fish, and there's Bear's shadow, and Bear's shadowfish. Yeah, so that's our story today. That's the story of Moonbear's shadow. So let's talk a little bit about shadows. What is a shadow? Does anyone want to share with us what you think? What is a shadow? Shadow. And Teresa's going to help us out maybe and can call on someone.
I see Campbell has her hand raised up big and tall.
I have a book like Moonbear Shadow.
Oh, great. Yeah, I see it.
Is it one of your favorites too? It's my favorite.
I have the beginning of the fish too.
Oh, great. Thank you, Campbell. Does anyone have any ideas about what is a shadow? Anyone else? What is a shadow?
Remember, if you want to unmute yourself, just look on the very corner. You'll see a little microphone, and maybe a grown-up that's with you can help you unmute. Let's see who is. Oh, Emma, you're raising your hand, I see.
Emma, do you have an idea about what is a shadow?
I think like when it's morning time, you can see your shadow. At nighttime, you can't see your shadow.
Oh, that's a good idea. So in the morning or in the daytime, you can see your shadow, but you can't see it at night. I wonder why that is. What do we have in the daytime that we don't have in the nighttime?
The sun.
Yeah, the sun. So for a shadow, you need the sun or some kind of light, like this flashlight, right? What else do you need for a shadow besides light?
Any
other ideas?
The light up on the ceiling, or the sun.
It could be the light.
Yes, you can use any type of light. It doesn't need to be the sun. Let's see if there's anyone else who has an idea. I see someone who's putting a little tiger or bear. I think you were with us last week. Let me unmute you and you could say. There.
Bear.
It's a bear. Oh, great. Like the California bear, it looks like. Do you have any ideas about shadows you wanted to share?
You have a light. I think it's time for us to try making some shadows. How about that?
That's a great idea too.
So for those of you who brought it along, you can get out your flashlight and try turning it on and off. Practice that. Maybe shine it around the room.
Shadow with the bear.
Oh, yeah. And did you bring some sort of little toy? I brought a bear because this is a book about a bear.
What is shadow be?
And I'm actually going to tilt my camera down now, and I'm going to turn off the slides so that I can show you what I have here. So I actually got to make like a scene from the book, and I'm even going to put a sun onto my flashlight.
Oh, it has a flash.
Look at that, it's a sun flashlight. And here's my bear, and I want to make some shadows of this bear. So do you see? Here is Bear's shadow. What happens when I move the light like this?
Lots of spaces. There's
And this is why when the sun is right over
longer. Can you make a long shadow with your flashlight and your toy? Try making a long shadow. What do I have to do? Now what if I want to make a short shadow? What do I change? Right now, this short shadow is behind Bear.
Patrol.
What if I wanted to make Bear's shadow in front of him? Ideas what I'd have to change?
Can you make full screen for this demo?
I think that you can do that if you click in the upper right-hand corner, if you click speaker view.
Does she talk?
Thank you.
Maybe I did that. Maybe that's something I have to control. Sorry about that. We're learning too. So here's the short shadow, and here's Bear's face. So right now his shadow's behind him. What if I want to make his shadow in front of him? What would I need to change? Any ideas? If I move the light over here, what happens when you move the light around?
Put it behind him.
Put the light behind him, and then look at that. His shadow's in front of him. What else happens when I move the light around? The position of the shadow changes. What else changes?
What spots?
Longer and shorter. Try moving your light all around your toy and see what happens. Do you remember in the book when Bear was digging a hole and his shadow disappeared? Where was the sun at that time? Remember it was noontime? Where was the sun? I don't know.
Behind him.
Was it behind? Yeah, it was kind of behind him, and it was shining pretty much straight down from up above. Now, the sun doesn't really do that in very many places on Earth, but at noontime is when it's highest in the sky. For the most part.
Here, see, there's.
And where's the shadow? I can barely see Bear's shadow, and that's because, where is it? It's right under him, right? So if I move it around, then I can start to get a short shadow, and if I bring the light down, I'll get a longer shadow. What about, could I make it touch the fish in the pond? Ooh. I think, Teresa, could you let me know? I think there's some stuff coming in the chat too.
Yes, someone said that, Nick said you need a light or an object to make a shadow.
Oh, thank you. So that's really good. So my earlier question is, what do we need to make a shadow? We've got the light. Now, if I just shine the light straight onto the surface, do we have a shadow? No shadow, but if I bring in an object or a bear, right? What's bear doing? Bear is blocking the light. So where the shadow is where bear is blocking the light. What else do we need? This is something we don't always think about, but this green grass, we need a surface for the shadow to fall on. So you need those three things: a light, an object to block the light, and a surface for the shadow. So I want to encourage you to keep playing around with your light and your toy. See if you can make a long shadow, a short shadow. See if you can make the shadow touch different things. Like I'm going to make it touch a tree. Can I make the tree's shadow touch bear so he's hiding in the shade of the tree? Remember he did
You
that?
can even see if Bear's shadow would fall on the fish.
Oh, that's
Here with the
good,
fish.
just like in the book. So let's see if I can do that. What do I need to do? Let's see. Bring it down. Need to make it longer, so I'm bringing it down, and there we go. Bear's shadow's touching the fish and maybe gonna scare it away.
You got it.
Great. So keep playing around with shadows, and you can find this activity on our website as well. I'm going to go back to sharing.
Aaron's not watching, so I bring it in here.
So we just tried this activity, and look it up on our website too. And another great activity with shadows, has anyone ever done this where you trace your shadow out when you're outside? Maybe with some sidewalk chalk?
Sophia said, wow, this is fun.
Oh, I'm so glad that you're having fun. Thank you, Sophia.
And I did this with some kids in my son's class.
Tracing shadows outside?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what do you think is going to happen if we go outside in the morning on a sunny day and we trace our shadows just like we're doing with these kids here in this picture? And then we go inside and we play and we have our lunch. And then after lunch in the afternoon, we go back outside, stand in the same place and trace those shadows again. You think anything will be different?
No.
Well, I want you to try this out, and maybe you can take some pictures and share them with us next week. Here are some kids who traced their shadows, and they're looking to see, did anything change? But I want you to try it out. So trace your shadow with some sidewalk chalk and draw where your feet are, and then go and stand in that same place a few hours later and trace it again and see if anything has changed.
We have a question in the chat about, do you have a diagram of how the sun moves around an object on your website?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, in this activity, there isn't a diagram like that, but there is one in, in the kind of teacher's version of this activity. And I'll look that up in a moment and put it in the chat because it is a pretty neat diagram, actually. I'm glad that you're interested in scientific diagrams. They can be really helpful in understanding how the world works. But yeah, this is about the sun, which appears to move across the sky during the day. So if the sun is moving across the sky, what is going to happen to those shadows? Just like my shadows here, when the sun moves, what happens?
Goes around.
Yeah.
The shadow moves. What else does it do?
Longer and shorter.
Oh, it's getting longer and shorter and then longer again, huh?
Yeah. Just like in the storybook.
Yeah.
And Sophia says, I love the story. And
Oh, good.
and they would also like you to
Oh yeah, I
Wait.
was sharing my screen. Sorry about that. So
yeah.
when the sun is moving, the shadows get longer, or are long, they get shorter, and then very short, and then they get longer again, right? I'm looking on the screen.
That's my, and I don't know if that's a
Daddy.
configuration.
So watch as you do this, and as you
But
change
it's
the
different,
side,
or
look
if
at
it's a
Daddy,
two
how
group.
long is the shadow, and what direction is it pointing. Notice how your shadows change.
And Ada and Phoenix have had a question for a while, so if we can
Yeah.
check in with them and see what
Ada
they
and
have.
Phoenix, do you have a question?
She was gonna answer about what makes shadows. She said light and objects.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
you got
nice.
that answer too. A light in an object, and then some surface for the shadow to fall on. Thank you for that. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up soon. I want to let you know that this is an activity you can do with your flashlights and toys at home, but if you have like a teacher or a librarian or someone in your life who you think might want to do this with a lot of kids, we sell this as a kit in our Astro shop. And we also sell the book that we read last week, Breakfast Moon. Did anyone make a moon journal in the last week, since last week? Anyone see the moon in the sky? I'd love to see
It
pictures.
was too cloudy.
Too cloudy. That happens. That's something that astronomers have to deal with. Sometimes it's cloudy and you can't see the stuff in the sky.
She wondered who made a moon journal.
I wanted to make sure that you know also, if you have a teacher who teaches pre-K to second grade, and it looks like most of you are maybe in that range, we're doing some online learning for teachers, and we have one coming up this Thursday. So Teresa, do you want to say a little bit more about that?
Yes, I do want to say something else about that. We are doing workshops for teachers who are also teaching their students at home. And so if you have a teacher friend that you would like to invite, we're actually going to be doing some information about how teachers can do this activity with their classes. So please join us if you can. I am going to put the information on the chat if you have any teachers or you are a teacher and you would like to join us for that workshop. It's also free, and the link is in the chat. So
Thanks,
please
Teresa.
join us if you can.
And finally, I just want to let you know that we're doing this story time again next week. Next week, we'll be reading Papa, Please Get the Moon for Me by Eric Carle. And that's next Monday, April 27th at the same time. Again, you can go to the same website to sign up. And here's something new is we have a new email address. It's storytime@astrosociety.org. And you can send us, if you're trying out our activities and you have photos of those and we can share them during our story time, please email them to us. And you can also email any questions you have or anything you'd like to share.
And I think we just have a minute or two for some questions. So I'm going to stop the recording.
I totally agree with all of that.
Everyone, you can
And
stay
another